Hi everyone, Adrian from Vermaak. Great to be with you here in a beautiful Port Elizabeth on a Sunday morning. Heidi and I heard the sad news of our dear friend Anita Eek, who passed away on Saturday morning. It was truly devastating for us to hear this news, and it came as a big shock for us, and how much more for her family, and our condolences to them. May they find strength and comfort through this very difficult time. And as much as friends and family can bring that comfort, it is in the Lord that we find the true peace, the peace that passes all understanding. I spoke to a friend of mine on Friday who lost his father, and I could hear his pain. I didn't have the words, but I know that God will bring the comfort in his life as he looks to him, and over time he will heal. It's not easy for us. We are facing many different challenges, but let's look to the Lord. I know that Anita Eek is now finding great fun in being with the Lord and enjoying life to the fullest as she is with the Lord, and without pain and without struggle. Today I want to speak about another remarkable lady, Ruth, as we find a book in the Bible called Ruth. And imagine that, what a privilege that must be for Ruth. A whole book about her, but there are other characters too, very important characters in the book of Ruth that we can learn from. So how does the story go? Well, there was a lady by the name of Naomi who married Elimelech, and they had two sons, Mahlon and Chilion. It was a time of famine for this family, and they left Bethlehem in Judah, and they went to a place called Moab to find a better way, to find hope and strength in a place called Moab. And their two sons met ladies by the name of Orpah and Ruth. So as time went on, tragedy struck this family, and Elimelech passed away, and this was devastating for Naomi, and I'm sure for the rest of the family. She experienced grief, and further to this, she lost her sons it was over a period of 10 years. She lost her sons, and can you imagine losing your husband and then your sons? So grief struck Naomi in a way where she felt bitter. She was processing this whole journey of hers, and how could God do it? And we do find ourselves going through that time, a time where we ponder and contemplate our lives, and we ask questions before God. Why is this happening to me? Why am I facing so much pain and grief? And through those times we don't fully know, but I do believe over time God reveals His heart, His love, and His bigger picture of Him being with us and we with Him, and experiencing His life through whatever we go through, and that His love we can never be separated from, no matter what we face. As it says in Romans chapter 8, that His love is always there for us. And so this tragedy hits this family, and Naomi decides she wants to go back to Bethlehem in Judah, and she puts it to her daughters-in-law to go back to their households, and that she could return back to Bethlehem, and that they should leave. And they're free to go. And she tells this to Ruth and to Orpah, her daughters-in-law. And I can imagine this incredible, painful moment. But Ruth's response is quite amazing, and it's one of my favorite scriptures in the Bible. And I want to read it to you. It's in Ruth chapter 1, and I read from verse 16. But Ruth replied, "Don't urge me to leave you or to turn back from you. Where you go, I will go, and where you stay, I will stay. Your people will be my people, and your God my God. Where you die, I will die, and there I will be buried. May the Lord deal with me, be it ever so severely, if anything but death separates you and me." When Naomi realized that Ruth was determined to go with her, she stopped urging her. And an amazing scripture. It's very special to me, as my wife Heidi said this to me on our wedding day, and I trust I've made it easy for Heidi to do those very things. And so what can we learn from this scripture? Is that despite the pain, despite the hardship, Ruth clings to Naomi. And what a wonderful picture of loyalty. And I want to take it one step deeper. A loyalty to the purposes of God. Ruth not only clung to Naomi, but she clung to God's purposes. And it was in a time of pain and hardship. And how about that for you and I? To be resilient, to bounce back, and to hold on. If that's all we can do, we can hold on to God and His purposes. And this is what Ruth did. And I believe it then paved the way for God to work in her life. And as a result, I believe this precious lady Ruth developed incredible characteristics over time, and she kept building on that foundation that God had started in her life. And what are some of those characteristics that we can learn from Ruth? The first thing is that Naomi referenced her as someone that is kind to her and kind to the dead, and that was her husband and her father-in-law. So Ruth was kind. And what is it to be kind? Is that you care for people around you, that you do acts of kindness, where you touch people, where you bring a smile to their lives. And may you and I stay fresh in these matters, where we don't get so hardened by the things we are facing, but we soften up and we still do those acts of kindness. The second thing about Ruth is she took her opportunities that I believe God made available for her. And how did she do this? Well, they arrived in Bethlehem and she saw this farm that Boaz owned. And she decided, as it says in the scriptures, that she would pick up the leftover grain behind anyone in whose eyes I find favor. So a humble task, but she saw something in front of her, thought to herself, well, I can make a difference and I can hopefully earn something from this. And use this as an opportunity to feed myself and my mother-in-law. And that's exactly what she did. And how about this for you and I? When God opens those doors, we must take it. And especially knowing that if we go in forward, God will provide for us. We just need to keep going forward and not settle. Go forward and let God lead us and take those opportunities that are before us and be humble enough to do whatever it is. And we know that if we're faithful with little, God will give us more to be faithful with. So Ruth did this, and as a result, we know Boaz recognized her, and that relationship started to develop, and it becomes a beautiful story where Boaz marries Ruth. And as a result, there's redemption to Naomi and Ruth, and the purchasing of the property through a process of negotiating with the kinsman redeemer, who eventually decides that he's not prepared to purchase the property and take over the responsibility of Naomi and Ruth. Boaz steps in and he purchases the property from Naomi. A wonderful story, and this is how I believe Jesus works in our lives. He restores us and He creates those opportunities that puts us into a better situation. We go through a lot, but in the end, God works it out for our good. And we know that Ruth had a wonderful boy by the name of Obed. And Obed was the father of Jesse, and Jesse was the father of David. And as a result, this is the lineage of Jesus. And Ruth is part of this amazing lineage that brings us to Jesus. And Jesus came to die for us so that we could respond to that work and live and have life, abundant of life. And Ruth is part of the link. And how about that for us? From a whole lot of grief, and then processing that grief and clinging to God's purposes, it ends up so wonderfully well for her. So may this be an encouraging story for you and I, to stay strong, to build character, and to be as Ruth was, and as Ruth was referenced, and what a wonderful reputation she had. She was one of noble character, as we understand and we read through the scriptures, as people spoke well of her. of what she did and how she stuck with Naomi. And let's take heart through these times and let God move us forward. Cheers, it's been great being with you. Bye.